I want you all to decide. I believe that I may have uncovered one of the greatest frauds, scams in our nation. I want you to decide, is this fraud? Is this a scam? To me, it very much feels like it. In most of America, they're not warned about this issue as they are forced to improperly store their medications. Recently, we were forced to mail at a pharmacy for my son's medications. Now, the reason why we're forced is not because, the local pharmacies don't have the medication or can't get it, or because the hospital pharmacy can't get it. It's because of monopolization of the industry. So you have insurance companies owning the specialty pharmacies, mail order pharmacies that they like to force us to. And it's really about, in what I believe, drug price manipulation, where they can make the drug look like, you're going to get a good deal. But in reality, in the back end, many times they're caught price gouging employers, government, taxpayers, us, as they force to mail order pharmacies on the drug pricing side. But a lot of people don't talk about what's happening with access and how this is interfering with patient-safe access. Many patients are experiencing delays. Many patients are also, they don't even know that their medications are not being properly stored and that the issue is left unregulated. I want to share with you my experience recently of calling a mail order pharmacy and questioning the temperatures of medications, and I do believe that there's some deception going on there, and definitely we're not being told the truth about our medications being stored in these conditions. A lot of people, when they think about temperatures and medication issues, they only think about the heat, but patients also need to be warned that freezing can also impact medications. Additionally, a lot of people only think about potency being affected. Patients are not warned that storing your medications in extreme heat can have other issues, can cause other issues such as expiration dates being earlier. The expiration date that's written on your bottle may not be good anymore if you're going to store it in extreme temperatures, or if the mail order pharmacy is going to store it in extreme temperatures. Additionally, medications can break down, become toxic. Carcinogens can increase in medications. This caused many recalls in the last couple years, with medications being found to increase in carcinogens after they're exposed to the temperatures such as they're exposed to during shipping. I was surprised to find out that as we're forced to these pharmacies for our children and for ourselves, that temperatures and of medication shipped by mail are not regulated by the FDA or state boards of pharmacy. Drug manufacturers are regulated by the FDA quite strictly in the requirements there, but when it comes to basically the wholesalers and to the patients, everything is just kind of falling. My son's a transplant survivor, and we were recently forced to mail order pharmacy again for his life-saving medication. So back in 2012, I decided to try mail order pharmacy. They shipped his medication on a hot day. It was liquid oral kids transplant medication. Ship it on a 102-degree day without any protection. I filled the hot bottle, but I'm like, no way they would do this, and leave this issue unregulated. I was wrong. He would end up in transplant rejection, fighting for his life just a couple weeks later, and I'm like, I'm never using mail order pharmacy again unless I can prove it was safe. So in 2018, we, like so many others, are forced to mail order pharmacy for his medication. So I'm like, all right, I have to make sure that someone's regulating this. So I would uncover that it's not regulated. So I contacted the news. I was able to opt out. Now, just recently in the last couple weeks, forced to mail order pharmacy again. This time I want to know, has anything changed since the last time we were forced with the way medications are being shipped or handled, or even used? I called the mail order pharmacy and I said, hey, I want to know, how are you going to ship my son's medications? And they said, oh, we're just going to ship it in a bag or a box without protection because it's a room temperature medication. So everyone also only thinks about refrigerated medications as being temperature sensitive. Every medication, including room temperature medications, are temperature sensitive at some point. So then so what I do know is some medications may have extended stability data, but it's rare. It's not every medication. It's not required for medications to be tested in the temperatures that they're actually going to be exposed to during shipping. Patients aren't told that, and I don't even know that many pharmacists are. So once we find out, though, we need to do what we can to protect our medications from every second of being exposed to a temperature extreme that's not been proven safe. So I asked the pharmacist, will you please contact the manufacturer, look up the manufacturer stability studies, and just find out, is there additional stability data for that drug? It's Cellcept. It is a chemotherapy immunosuppression medication that I don't want to just heat it up if it's not proven safe to see what happens. Those medications are already known to cause cancer. I mean, it's already a risk that we take with my son, but he has to be on those medications to keep him alive. So the mail order pharmacist, she looks up the manufacturer's number, calls them. I'm on hold while she's calling them, and she's like, the manufacturer's saying that there's nothing proven safe beyond 86 degrees of that medication. Okay, all right, then, we can't do that. We can't just let you just ship it out. It was 100-degree day the first time I called to the mail order pharmacy, and they said they would ship it without protection. And I'm like, I can't do that to my son's meds. I know those trucks in your mailboxes can reach 120 to 170 degrees. Like, that's just not okay, and I'm just surprised that they've been able to get by with it for this long. Often when patients try to ask the mail order pharmacy about the temperatures of the back of the trucks, they will often deflect and only attest to the temperatures of the outside temperatures, not admitting to the fact that the trucks and mailboxes can reach 120 to 170 degrees on a 90 to 100 degree day. So I questioned the temperatures of the truck. How are you going to protect it from the extreme heat? It was 100 degrees, and she said, well, we can actually ship that medication up to 104 degrees. I'm like, really? That's interesting, because, manufacturer just said 86 degrees is the limit. So I'm like, where are you getting your guidance? And she said USP. Now, she says USP allows for temperature storage of 104. So I have reached out to USP, and I encourage others to as well. USP is United States Pharmacopoeia, and they actually write guidelines at the state boards of pharmacies. The FDA usually do use in their guidelines or rules and regulations. For USP, the mail order pharmacy should be going by the manufacturer's label that says, excursions permitted from 59 to 86 degrees. Again, a room temperature medication. The mail order pharmacist also tried to say that there's different guidelines for shipping, and the honest truth is, per USP's guidelines, USP states that shipping is a subset of storage, and again, the manufacturer's label supersedes that of USP's. And they pointed me to USP General Chapter 659. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. And this isn't my first time hearing this. I hear this sometimes. So the pharmacist then tries to say, well, the drug manufacturer ships it to us that way. And I've already contacted the FDA about this. Again, FDA does regulate manufacturers. FDA says that, hey, if those mail order pharmacies are getting medications that are hot to touch, they shouldn't just be shipping them out and doing nothing more. They should be contacting the FDA through the MedWatch program. Additionally, outreaching to the drug manufacturer, determining, is this medication safe? They should not just be continuing to just distribute it. So I asked her, I'm like, so why don't you report this to the FDA? And she's like, well, I don't work back there. It's just what I've heard from other pharmacists that do work back there. And I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. So I do have a lot of pharmacists that support me, and mail order pharmacists often say that they know that this is an issue, but they're afraid if they bring it up, they're afraid of retaliation. They have very good reasons to be afraid of retaliation. Some of the other pharmacists that I've met and spoke to, they have faced retaliation for speaking up, but this is where it's so important that normal everyday people like me and you, that we go and we start pressuring our state boards of pharmacy to properly regulate this issue. The FDA, our state legislators need to know, and federal legislators need to know what's happening and stop this forcing a mail order pharmacy. It's so important that we're allowed to protect the integrity of our medications every step, from the production of that drug all the way to our door. That is so important. So if you're willing to help me out, share this video, follow me. Additionally, go to uniteforsafemeds.com and you can join to become a member and just kind of follow along with our advocacy. We appreciate all of our supporters. Thank you for learning about this serious issue. Let me know, is this fraud?